Hey there, and welcome back to the Falco. I'm continuing a little mini series on Tottenham squad, doing a bit of an assessment. What have we got, and what I'm really looking for from this season 24-25. So we're into the midfield at the moment, and obviously there's a lot of crossover between midfielders and attackers. There's obviously a lot of crossover between what the defenders are doing moving up into midfield as well, but I'm going to try and stick to the players you would mostly consider to be midfielders. So kicking off at the base of our midfield, Bissouma. He's a player who on his day is absolutely fantastic. He can be almost unplayable. He's, as the parlance goes, quite press resistant. He's a fantastic technical player, receiving the ball to feet, receiving with his back to goal or back to opposing players. He's good on the half turn, he's got great touch, and he's shown real capability to kind of take the ball in tight areas and hold on to it and then progress the play. He's very good at breaking the lines with the ball at feet. That's when it's all working. But when it's not working, he either doesn't make himself available if he's not feeling it, if he's not confident, and if the game's not going that way. So I want to see him making himself available at all times, and a little bit of a change of dynamic in terms of the way that he receives the ball. So I think he can get himself into little pockets of space where he can make it even harder for players to press him. So he backs himself, he backs his touch, he backs himself to get out of tight positions, and that's great. But I think he can also get himself on the kind of not even the half turn, on the 1/3 turn, where he can really give players a problem. And what I'm talking about here is if you imagine he's facing the centre halves or Vicario, he's facing his own goal, he can get himself on ever so slight a turn, which can really cause a problem for anyone that's pressing from behind in terms of, is he going to go right, is he going to go left? He can go straight back the way it came, and I think we do actually need to do a bit more of that, be a bit braver to see if the press will continue past the player, and then we can move and try to receive it on the other side of the press, and then you're out. So yeah, a little bit of Bis doing that kind of stuff, just dropping in and out, right and left, dropping into little pockets, really moving, pressing midfielders and attackers from oppositions who are trying to cover spaces, put them in difficult situations, and see if we can progress the play out of there when we're playing out from the back. The start of this season hasn't been great, and Bis really is the key to doing that for us. So I want to see a bit of that. And then on the flip side of it, I want to see him improve his defensive aspect. He's a very physical player. He's got the attributes he would need to be a great number 6, a great all-round number 6, but he doesn't seem to have that defensive instinct. As I talk about a lot, he doesn't have the running lines that necessarily I would be looking for. When he's retreating into spaces, what I really want to see is him going into an area that causes the most disruption to the opposition, as opposed to just running straight back to the centre line of the goal. It's not always the best tactic to just run back and try and get into a position. It's, can you affect the play while you're retreating as well? I want to see him be a bit better at that, and a bit better awareness. Balls in from wide areas, balls cut back. Is he getting into the spaces to make it as difficult as possible for the opposition to get space and get shots away and have efforts on our goal? So the notes for him are really to improve that defensive aspect, because if he does, we've got a fantastic number 6 who we can build the team around. James Maddison in the 8/10, mainly the number 10 role. He has had a difficult start to the season, I would say, but we know what Maddison can do when he's really feeling it, when he's confident, when he's at the centre of everything. He can be the player that makes us tick. He can be the metronome that keeps the ball moving, set the tempo for the team, set the tempo for our play. And that can be really, really important for us, both in the attacking aspect and the defensive aspect. I want to see us getting better at taking the sting out of opposition play with our possession. If we're going to be that team that dominates 60, 65, 70% of possession across pretty much any team we play, we've got to be really, really good with it in terms of the defensive element, which is just stopping the opposition from getting on the attack by holding the ball and probing, and then being ready to pounce with an attack, particularly if you're ahead, to score goals. Maddison could be the key to that. He's got great technique. I want to see him getting involved with the referees less, whinging and moaning less. Get yourself on the ball, get yourself into good positions. I don't mind him dropping into a deep quarterback position, but let's see. I go all the way back to the Aston Villa game last season, where we did really well, but they came out with a victory at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He was brilliant at just flipping that ball in behind and really giving them something different to think about, because they themselves were playing a high line. We can do that, and he's got the range to do it. Get himself higher up the pitch, be a bit braver coming to collect the ball. If he needs to drop in and collect the ball off Lolo or off Biss in the centre, and then move it quickly so we don't give up possession. I really want to see him demanding that football at pretty much all times, and hopefully with Berryvale as an understudy, he can give everything, and we've got somebody that can come on and take minutes if he's really getting tired or if he's playing a lot of games. So I want to see him be a bit braver in the midfield. Archie Gray, if I classify him as a midfielder, it's going to be really interesting to see if he plays in the six this season. It's not something we've seen a great deal of, but I really do want to see what he can do in that position. I don't know if he's going to be a player who receives facing his own goal and holds possession and tries to play out from there, but I do think he'll be a willing runner. He's going to move and try and get himself facing the opposition goal so that he can pick passes through that midfield line, and I want to see what he's like in the defensive aspect. Has he got the physicality? Has he got the legs? Has he got the strength? I want to see him go body to body with players and what he does in that situation. How good is he with the ball at his feet when he's receiving that kind of contact at the Premier League level as well? So I'll be really interested to see which way it goes with Archie Gray, but there's obviously high hopes for him, and so yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do this season. Berryvale, just mentioned him in terms of taking minutes when Maddison needs to sit. He's clearly an exciting player. He's a fantastic technician. He's confident. He wants the ball to feet, and he really wants to take players on in tight areas. That's great. He's got to develop that. He's got to know when to do it and when not to do it. And you could argue a play like him, there is never a time when you don't want to do it, because he's that confident, and so he'll take it in any area and he'll try and make something work. But we really do need to get him into a position where he is damaging opposition by receiving it, making those moves, taking the ball, getting on the half turn, and if there's a gap, he doesn't necessarily need to run into it. Offload that ball nice and quick, and then get yourself in a position to get it back again. He can definitely do the stuff that we've seen his YouTube clips of running, taking past 3 or 4 players and running in behind and doing wonderful things, but he's moving up a level. So what I really want to see is if you can get that half yard of space on your direct opponent, lay it off, and then be ready to get it again and do it all over again and keep moving it, and then build your confidence and build up to those moments where you find yourself isolated and you've got to take on 1 or 2 players because there's not a better option. You need to be the one that makes something happen. I'm also interested to see what his shooting is going to be like, because we saw a little bit in pre-season. He was rushing things. He was new and he wanted to make an impression. He wanted to hammer one in from the edge of the box. I want to see a bit more composure from him in that area. His set piece delivery has been really good so far in terms of what we've seen, so long may that continue as well. Coming on to Pape Sarr, I think Pape Sarr needs to work on 2 areas that I talk about all the time: is his ball retention. His touch can be a bit loose sometimes, and his distribution, so his passing isn't always great, and he plays in a position where if you give away the ball, we are going to be in danger by the nature of the way we play, how many players we put up, not having fullbacks when we're in possession, so it's only 2 centre-halves behind us. If he's giving the ball away consistently, it's causing us a problem. Not only is it not allowing us to get a rhythm going forward with possession, but it's also giving the opposition an easy way in to affect us on the attack. So I want to see him really improve that. I want him going through entire games where he basically doesn't give away possession, and that's the level that we want him to be at, and I think he is capable of that as well. If we're going to put him in the categories of being a truly great midfielder, that's where he needs to get to. So you need to get into that situation with him, really improve that passing, really be positive with it as well. He's absolutely fine moving it sideways. He's fine kind of sweeping it out into the wide positions along the floor. I've not seen anything go over the top that I can remember. I want to see what his passing range is like over players, and I also want to see him really taking games by the scruff of the neck and using that physicality that he's got, the running that he's got, and the engine, and then bringing that into games. And if it's not on a technical aspect in terms of taking the ball and doing things with the ball, then really making that in something fantastic defensively. And he's shown he can do that, as those long limbs, getting in and prodding balls away from opponents in dangerous areas, getting himself back in with tackles and nicking the ball away. I think that's his future personally. I think that number 6 role is actually where he's really well suited. He could be converted into that if the coaching staff decide that's what's best for him. But I do also feel that now he's moving into a stage where he's moving out of that young player bracket into a senior player, because he's got enough minutes in the first team now, and he needs to start considering where does he make a difference in the team. And if he needs to specialise, then he needs to specialise. It doesn't mean that he's not going to get minutes performing different roles, but he also needs to nail down what he does for the team when he comes onto the football pitch. I'm excited. I still think there's a really high ceiling, and I think he's one of those players that's still got lots of runway ahead of him. So I'm excited to see what he could do over the season. Decky has started the season like a player possessed, and we know he's got that in his character and his personality, and it's absolutely wonderful to see. He is arguably our best performing player so far this season, throughout pre-season and then into the season. He's been absolutely fantastic. His conversion to what I would say more of an 8 in the midfield 3 is working really well. He can play as a false 9 as well. He's so good at holding the ball up. He's so strong. He's great technically. He's got that left foot wild card kind of thing in those attacking areas as well, which I think is great. And yeah, we know that he maybe struggled coming off the right, and his delivery into the box wasn't great. But if he does need to move back out to the right, I think with Solanke now, he does have an option. If he can improve his delivery, he will have someone to cross the ball to if he finds himself playing off the right-hand side. And if he's playing down the middle, continue to get the ball, continue to link things up, continue to make it difficult for the opposition. He's had a great start, and I think if he just continues like this, he's shouts for player of the season if he continues the way he started the season. So yeah, I'm really hoping he can add maybe 5 or so goals to what he's doing this season from a central area as well. Lastly, I'm going to talk about Lolo. So not talking about the younger players coming through, but talking about more the first teamers. Lolo for me is one who really does need to pick up this season. We know how good he can be. We know what he can do with the ball at his feet. His passing is silky. He's a really great technical player. I would love to see him get back to the defensive side that he was so good under Conte, that he did really well. He could really be a fantastic player. He's willing to put it in. He gets all over the pitch. He makes a nuisance of himself, and he can win the ball and then play with it as well. And he can be a real asset to the team defensively. I want to see that back. And I also want to see him getting on the ball, be braver, get in those tight little areas. I want to see the midfield rotations, whoever the midfield 3 with the inverted fullbacks and with the wide players or the striker dropping in. I want them turning around. Get those rotations going. Middle of the park, up in the high right and the high left areas. Do it so it's really difficult for the opposition to pick up our midfield. get those little pockets of space and then provide, whether it's balls out wide for the, you know, the famous Ange finish along the floor and then someone scoring, or whether it's balls through that defensive line and making runs. We're perfectly capable of it. We've got the technicians to do it. I want to see Lolo be a big part of that, but he's got to be brave. He's got to want the ball. If we're playing out from the back, get in there, get the ball off the keeper, get it off the centre halves, get it off the fullbacks, play that role, be solid, don't give the ball away. You've got the technique to do it. It's more about that confidence and that bravery and that character. Bravery normally is the difference between getting into those difficult positions and playing those passes and then going to a Tottenham player and not quite feeling it, being a bit tentative, just being that fraction off and giving the ball away. And that is going to cost us. So he's got the attributes, he's got the skills. I'd love to see him fulfill that. So I'm excited to see if he can get there, what he can also provide us in the midfield. So that's a quick run through of what I consider to be our first team midfielders. I'll probably look at some of the younger players as well in another video. But thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on Tottenham's midfield and what you're looking for in terms of the style of play going forward. And I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.